The Bold and the Beautiful, BNB, recap for Wednesday, September 3rd, indicates that Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, and Paris Buckingham's Diamond White breakup was revealed while Sheila Sharp's Kimberlyn Brown bear attack inspired Luna Nozawa, Lisa Yamada. At Forrester Creations, Thomas showed Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., a post-rescue pic of his dad with Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, and wondered if he really had to kiss her. Thomas wanted reassurance that Ridge wouldn't hurt Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, again, and confessed how much he needed this reunion too since his life was a mess. Thomas and Paris' engagement had been called off, so he said she really hurt him and then complained about her whole family's deception. Since Thomas didn't have a particular fashion line he was designing for, he didn't have much of a purpose in his career either. Thomas whined about always ending up alone and suggested he couldn't handle Ridge blowing things with Taylor, too. Ridge became concerned about the possibility of his son backsliding since Thomas seemed so desperate. Thomas kept the focus on how much he needed his family as he pleaded with tears in his eyes. In the design office on Wednesday's BNB episode, Brooke gave Katie Logan, Heather Tom, updates on Thomas's return to town and how that further complicated the situation with Ridge. Katie was adamant that Ridge needed to end things with Taylor immediately since he was just putting off his inevitable reunion with Brooke. At the hospital, Taylor saw Lee Finnegan, Naomi Matsuda, walking by her office and stopped her for a conversation. Lee didn't go to any deep places regarding Luna despite Taylor's attempt to get her to open up. The discussion eventually shifted to Thomas's LA comeback, so Lee talked to Taylor about his past difficulties and hoped nothing would trigger more issues. At Lee's place, Luna was annoyed over her negative pregnancy test outcome and hid the stick when Sheila appeared. After Luna expressed how eager she was for Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, to find out she was alive, Sheila tried to lower her expectations. If Sheila could survive a bear attack, Luna acted like her own comeback would be reasonable. Sheila reminded Luna that her bear attack was fake. Fake it, yeah, that could work. Fake results, Luna muttered to herself as inspiration struck. It was obvious that Luna was forming a backup plan involving some fake pregnancy test results to dupe Will. Luna suggested the great thing about people like them was that they could make anything happen when they were backed into a corner. That said, Luna did allow for the possibility that she'd perhaps taken the test too soon once she was alone. Regardless, Luna declared that she wasn't wishing and praying for a future with Will. She was making it happen. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Luna will continue to adjust her plans along the way, but troubling news is ahead for Will no matter what. Wednesday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was filled with heartbreak, relief, and a few quiet victories as the Forresters and Logans continued to navigate love's never-ending twists. Thomas and Paris faced the truth. The biggest shock of the day came when Thomas Forrester and Paris Buckingham sat down to have the conversation both had been avoiding. After weeks of tension and subtle distance, Paris finally confronted Thomas about his hesitations. "Every time I talk about the future," Paris admitted with glassy eyes, "you go quiet. It's like I'm planning a life with someone who's already walking away." Thomas, who has been struggling with conflicting feelings since Hope Logan's rejection, finally confessed that he wasn't ready to give Paris the kind of commitment she deserved. He praised her kindness, her beauty, and the stability she'd brought into his life, but ultimately, he admitted his heart was still in pieces. "I don't want to hurt you by pretending I'm all in when I'm not," Thomas said softly. "You deserve someone who wakes up every day knowing you're there forever." Paris, though clearly crushed, held her head high. In true Paris fashion, she refused to beg or lash out. Instead, she nodded with grace and told Thomas she wanted him to be honest, even if it meant breaking her heart. Their breakup wasn't fiery or vindictive. It was bittersweet, leaving fans both devastated and proud of the maturity on display. Luna's pregnancy test results. Meanwhile, Luna Nozawa's world was spinning for entirely different reasons. After her emotional scare earlier in the week, she finally mustered the courage to take a pregnancy test. With Poppy gently reassuring her, Luna stared at the stick, terrified of how her life might change in an instant. The result? Negative. Luna wasn't pregnant. Relief washed over her face, but so did a complex mix of emotions. On one hand, she could breathe again, knowing her future wasn't being rewritten overnight. On the other, she was forced to confront why she hadn't been ready for the possibility. She loved RJ Forrester deeply, but doubts about their relationship's stability still lingered after the chaos of her recent entanglement with Zend. When RJ came by later, Luna chose honesty. She told him about the scare and about the fears it brought up. RJ was visibly shaken but tried to stay supportive, promising he was committed to her no matter what. Still, the conversation raised fresh questions about whether these two are ready for the kind of adult responsibility that a serious relationship demands. Ridge and Brooke's calm before the storm. Elsewhere, Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan shared a rare moment of calm. Ridge reflected on Thomas's struggles, acknowledging how proud he was that his son chose honesty instead of repeating old patterns. Brooke, meanwhile, couldn't help but hint that she hoped Thomas's newfound maturity might eventually lead him back to hope, but Ridge was careful not to stoke old flames. Their conversation felt like a quiet pause, a moment of clarity before the inevitable storm that always seems to circle the Forresters. What's next? The episode closed on Paris sitting alone in her apartment, silently processing the end of her relationship. She looked both heartbroken and determined, as though she knew this was the start of a new chapter, one where she wouldn't settle for being second choice. Meanwhile, Luna stared out a window, wondering if her near miss with motherhood was a wake-up call. Was she really ready for RJ? Was he ready for her? One relationship ended. Another survived a scare, but walked away with lingering doubts. And in typical Bold and the Beautiful fashion, Wednesday's episode left viewers wondering, which couple is truly built to last?